Feed, written by M.T. Anderson, was published in 2002 by Candlewick Press. It is a science fiction novel based in future America. In future America, the internet is no longer experienced through external devices. It is implanted directly into the brain through a chip. This chip is referred to as the feed and is the center of society. Shopping, talking, partying, music, and even drugs are all based on the feed. Physically, the world is falling apart. Oceans are too toxic to touch, people's skin is falling off, and there are riots throughout America. Virtually, the feed shelters and distracts the world from its failing and miseries. This story is based on a boy named Titus and a girl named Violet. During spring break on the moon, they meet and go to a club. At this club, they are hacked by an activist who is against the feed. After some time in the hospital, their feeds are restored back to normal, except for Violet. Due to her financial background, her father could only afford the cheaper version of the feed, which could not recover as well as the others. Her feed, now corrupted, was slowly killing her brain, and throughout the story, the reader is taken on a journey through Titus and Violet's relationships, their love, and their demise. Once her feed became corrupted, Violet began acting differently as she realized how short her time on Earth was, and these actions in turn drove Titus away. Her brain continued to falter, leading eventually to her declining into a coma, where she was basically a brain stuck inside a dormant body without any feed activity. Titus visits her to say goodbye and realizes how much he loved her. As a social satire, Feed relies upon the use of irony and exaggeration to expose and criticize people's stupidity and vices. Feed is a satire of a future that is uncomfortably close to here. The theme hinges on the human condition, showing the struggle between love and ignorance. In essence, it is, you don't know what you have until it's gone. Of note, the entire book is rich with symbolism. Violet's father is symbolic of the past, where things were simpler and less dangerous. Titus's friends represent society as a whole, a careless society comprised of passively mind-controlled hordes, literally cutting their skin in the way of the newest feed stars and engaging in empty, inappropriate relationships. Violet and Titus symbolize society's victims, star-crossed lovers being somewhat outside of a society where going into Mao is, in essence, hacking the feed implanted in your own brain to a point where your entire nervous system fails. Similes and metaphors are abundant and are a prominent force throughout the entire book. I personally like the overarching theme of the book, as it demonstrates regret. The heartbreaking ending to the story makes it hard to like, but looking at it with the theme in mind, it reflects well on the human condition, accurately displaying how we can be loving creatures who honestly regret pushing people away that we truly love. The end of the story was disappointing, but due to the nature of the plotline, there's no way to change that. The vernacular of the characters in this story was frustrating to read at points, but makes sense due to the lack of education in a world where the internet is implanted into the brain. Because of its tragic nature, the book would be difficult to recommend. If the person I was recommending it to does not get attached to characters throughout the story, I would, because the idea behind the story is incredibly interesting, and the satire is truly insightful. However, the book is absolutely upsetting in the end to read, and anyone who struggles with loss would struggle to finish it. And now, a short passage from page 179. We went to the sea because there wasn't time after school to go under it. She and I went to stand beside it, We watched it move around. It was dead, but colorful. It was blue when the sun hit it one way, and purple when the sun hit it another way, and sometimes yellow or green. We had on suits so we wouldn't smell it. We sat in the sand. I made an angel with my arms and legs. She piled sand on my stomach. The suits were orange, which was stupid. I hate it when the suit is a really ugly color, so you look completely dumb. After she was done piling sand and I was done with my angel, we stared up at the sky. I was like, I don't think you have to worry. Science is like, they're always discovering things. Yeah. Have you looked at the sea? You've been reading more of that depressing stuff. Everything is dead. Everything is dying. Some up cars floated over the clouds. Some cargo ships. Some transit needles. Heading off to Norway or Japan or something. I sat up. I was pissed off with things. I went, you know the part that's the really ironic thing? The guy, the hacker? You almost agree with him. He completely messed you up, and you almost agree with him. Yeah, she said, that's certainly the ironic thing. What? What are you being sarcastic about? I'm screwed. See, like, that's so negative. What do you mean? What's positive? My body is completely falling apart. I mean, you saw it with my foot, but it's happening more often. When my fingers or part of my face will just freeze up. It's getting more frequent, like once every other day, for 10 or 15 minutes, sometimes for a few hours. Oh my god, don't tell me this. And I'm getting all of these images that are supposed to come through my feed. I'm getting a lot of error messages. They can fix that. I don't know. I just don't know. I kicked at the sand. I looked at her. She looked good through the mask. Her big sunglasses brown and purple in the light. I was like, you know, What? She said. I really like you. She hit me on the back of the head. That'll do, she said.